Hello everyone, welcome to the Power BI projects course. In this video, we are going to introduce ourselves with this project. This project is the Olympics Dataset Analysis project. In this, we will be analyzing the historical data of the Olympics Games. The dataset that we have got has got a historical data of around 120 years. It is a really good data set and we would be analyzing it to find out the various trends based upon various parameters. These parameters include the countries, the states, the athletes, and many more things. For your reference, I have already created a Power BI report from this data set. This is how it looks. As you can see, I have combined various things, various analysis tools in this. I have used different types of visualizations which include tree maps, line charts, ribbon charts, pie charts, even tables and matrices as well. So this is what we would be creating at the end of this project. This Power BI report will be used for reference. So let's get started, and that's all for this introduction video. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Power BI projects tutorials. This tutorial is for the Olympics dataset analysis. So in the introduction video, I have already told you about the dataset, a brief introduction about the dataset. The dataset that we have is of the Olympics Games, and it is a historical data. That means it has a 120 years of data, so it is a very good data set and we would be analyzing it. Okay, so our main goal is to analyze the data set, try to find out the relation between the various constraints or the various columns that are present in the data set and try to find any kind of relationship between them, and in the end prepare a report that highlights all the basic features or the basic analysis that we have done. We will be doing it all with the help of Power BI. So let's get started. Now what I have done is I have already downloaded the dataset in the form of the Excel sheet, and then I have imported it into Power BI because that's a really simple process. All you've got to do is once you open your Power BI, you need to select this option, that is import data from Excel, and select your Excel file. Once you have done that, you will see this kind of a option or this kind of a preview. So what this means? This means that there are two tables in our data set. Let's take a look at them. The first table is the country definitions table, which has got three columns in it, that is the NOC, the region and the notes. Now just notice one small thing over here is that the name of the column is NOC, region and notes, but still Power BI has not recognized this and is taking column 1, 2 and 3 as the column names. So we would be fixing that just a few seconds later. But before that, let's take a look at our main table, that is the athlete events table. We have got a humongous amount of data in this particular table, but Power BI only loads the preview for us, so we are getting just the preview of this whole data set. And we have got name, that is the name of the athlete, their gender, their age, their physical characteristics like height and weight, the team for which they participated. NOC here stands for name of country, and that has been taken for the three letters from the country name, like CHN for China, DEN for Denmark, NED for Netherlands, USA for USA, and so on. So this is what we are going to fix, because we are not going to go with these first three letters. And if you see this country definitions table, then we have got this exact column and the actual country names. So what we will be doing is using this particular column in our athlete events table. So that's a very simple process that we would be doing. Just it would require a few additional steps in the Power Query editor. Okay. Now after this, we have various other columns as well which would be used. Some of these columns we don't need them at all, so we would be removing those columns. First of all, what we are going to do is just select these two things and click on transform data. Now when we click on transform data, then something called a Power Query editor will open in front of us. The Power Query editor provides us with numerous features through which we can transform the data set. Like we can remove inconsistencies, we can remove the unnecessary data which we don't need, and apply the changes as per our wishes. So few of the changes we have already discussed in the preview section. Let's see what all we can do with it. So the first is this country definitions table that we have got opened. The first thing that we are going to do is, okay, the column headers are already present as NOC, region and notes. Then we don't need column 1, 2 and 3, right? So what I'm going to do is press Control A or just manually select these 3 columns. If you want to select multiple columns, press Control and then click on that particular column, right? Then what you can do is you can go to transform, and here is this option of use first row as headers. You can just select this option, and as you can see, NOC is not NOC, region and notes have been changed as the country names. Now the thing is that there is one thing that we don't need this notes column, because the main purpose of this table for us is just to get this region column into our main table, that is the athlete events table. So we can remove this column. How do we remove that? We just select this particular column that we want to remove, go to the home tab. Here is this option of remove columns, and you can just remove that particular column. Now let me just rename this particular column header from region to country, because that is the exact name that we are looking for. Why we have done this change, we will see when we are working with visualizations in the Power BI desktop, because this is a really important step. You have to be careful on what names you are giving to your column headers, right? Now, the column that I removed is just removed from this Power Query editor. It is not doing any changes into our original data source, so be assured with that. Now we have this athlete events table. Let's just remove the few unnecessary columns here as well, like the ID column we don't need. We don't need the height and the weight column. The reason why we are not needing it is because, as you can see, all the height and weight data is not available. Plus there are some inconsistencies as well in this data. So what we are going to do is we are going to remove this data because it is not that important. Then I'm also going to remove this team data, because we would be focusing on the countries parameter, not on the team parameter. Then let's just see. Here we have this column called the games column, which is a combination of the year and the type of the games, because there are 2 types of Olympics, the summer and the winter Olympics. So this is a important data. But the thing is that we have got 2 other columns, the year column and the season column, which have exactly that data, like the year and the season. So this is a redundant data. That's why we can just remove this games column. Okay, next what we have is the city, that is where these Olympic games were held in that particular year. Like you remember 2012 were held in London. So that is actually not needed, because the city where the Olympics were held had no effect on the medals or on the country's winning percentage. So let's just remove this. And what we are going to do is remove these events column as well. We would be only working with this sports column. So now I have selected all the columns that I want to remove, and I can just simply click on this remove columns option, and all the unnecessary data will be removed. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is just change this column name to gender for a better understanding. And there is one more thing that I need to do, and that is the merging of the tables. So let's see how the merging works. Okay, but before merging the tables, there is one more thing that we need to do, is that we have this M and F as symbols for the gender. So instead of that, let me just add the full values like male and female. So what can I do is I can go to transform option, make sure the column is selected. Here I have this replace values option. I can go to this replace values. Firstly, I have to add the value to find. So M is the value, and that I can just replace with male. If I click on OK, then you can see all the replacements have been done. Similarly, I can replace F with female. So as to make sure that the data is better understandable, and because symbols are not that important, right? So now the replacement have been made. Now let's work with merging the queries. Okay. So we have this, if we just go to this home tab again, we have this option of merge queries. We can just click on that. Now what you need to do is you need to select the table and the columns which you want to merge. Okay. So in the athlete events table, I want to merge this NOC column with which column? So I want to merge it with the country definitions NOC column. Now the kind of the join or the kind of the merge that you want. So let's just go with a full outer one. That means all the rows from both the tables would be taken because we don't want to leave any other row. Then you can click on OK, and after a few seconds you will see that the tables have been merged. Actually no change would be shown in the country definitions table. The change would be shown only in the athlete events table. Okay. So we need to wait for a few seconds because you know the data set is huge. It has got lakhs of rows in it. That is why Power Query editor needs a few seconds to process it. Okay. So now the merging has been completed and we have got a new column, that is the country definitions column in the athlete events table. Okay. Now what is this composed of? It is composed of this table everywhere. But what is this? It's not understandable to us, right? If we just go to this table option, then what happens is we would be able to see the data inside of it, right? So this is not something that we can work with. So how do we proceed? So for this purpose, what we are going to do is actually go to this particular column. Here is this arrows option. If you click on it, so make sure the select all columns is checked. You can click on OK. Now once you do that, this column would be split into the corresponding columns, that is the NOC and the country name. So this is it. We don't want the NOC column neither from this nor from the original table. So let's just delete both of them. Here it is. Control click and remove that. And this is the countries column that we have got, but it is now looking as country definitions dot country. So let's just change its value to country. That's it. And this is exactly what the data we wanted. This is the whole data that we have got. We have removed all the unnecessary data, we have removed the redundant data, and we have created a final data set for us on which we will work. Now what we can do is provide it a good name. So let's just provide it as Olympics Final. The data cleaning process is now complete. Now what we are going to do is just close and apply this. So in the top left corner, you can see this is the button of close and apply. You can just click on that. Now what will happen is this whole data set would be downloaded into the Power BI desktop. The advantage is that the full data set that we just got with numerous columns with redundant data would not be downloaded. Only the instance that we created out of that data set using Power Query editor would be downloaded. So this is taking few seconds to load. You have to wait for that. And once it has been loaded into the Power BI desktop, then we would be able to make visualizations out of it. So now it has been downloaded or loaded into Power BI desktop, and here you can see the Olympics final import that we have got. So you need to just work with this. So we would be starting to work on this particular data set from the next video onwards. That's all for this one. Thanks for watching. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Power BI tutorial projects video. This is the project that we are working on about the Olympics dataset analysis. So this whole project is just based upon the historical data of the Olympics games. In the first video, that was just our previous video, we have seen how can we load this dataset and basically clean it, removing the inconsistencies and the redundancies in our dataset that were available. Now we have got one for ourselves, that is the Olympics final dataset, and we are going to work on it. Okay. So firstly, what we are going to do is we are going to see that how can we build simple visualizations, and then we will slowly progress our way up towards the complex visualizations. And finally, we will be combining them all together into one Power BI report. Okay. So first of all, the simplest visualization that we had in the report that I just shared with you all in the introduction video was the pie chart. Okay. So pie chart visualization is present here. This is actually the visualizations pane where you will get all the visualizations. So all you need to do is just click on the particular visualization that you want to create, and it would be available for you. Along with this options, these simple options are available. So if you want to use any kind of visualization, what you can do is you can just drag and drop the data, and that would be shown into the visualizations, right? Like we have values and the legends. So what I'm going to do in this pie chart is I'm going to show the distribution or the allocation of the different medals between male and the female participants, right? So that means gender would be a criteria. So I'm just going to drop it into the legend part. Legend is basically acting as the slice categorization. Like if you know what a pie chart looks like, you might have realized that there are different kinds of pies or the slices that are being created. So what is the basis of creating those slices? It is this legend. Okay. Then we have the values. So what we want is the distribution of the medals between the female and the male participants. Just as you read that sentence or just as you repeat that sentence, you will realize that what all values you need for your visualization. Firstly, I needed the gender. The second, I need the medals. Okay. So here we have this medal value. Let me just drop it into the values. Why into the values? Because that will act as a point of distribution. So this is the pie chart that's been created. I know it's really small, so we can just use this particular button that gets it into the focus mode. Now here you can see the male participants have around 72.51% of the total medals, and female have 27.49% of the total medals. So this is the distribution that we have got. Now what changes we can do over here? If you want to do any changes, make any changes, you can just go to the format tab. What all changes are available? Like this value that has been shown is known as the legend. If you want, you can just change its position, right? Like I am changing it to top center. So here would be my legend that would be available. Next thing what I'm going to do is change the data colors, because I'm not liking this color of male and female. So what I'm going to do is change the female color into golden, and let's just change the male color into this kind of a shade of a brown. Why I am doing this? Because ultimately what we are going to do is we are going to choose 3 colors for our medals, that is bronze, silver and gold. So this would be the color scheme for our report. So I'm trying to keep a uniform color scheme for the whole of the report. The next thing is the detail labels. This information that you are getting, it is the detail labels. So or the tooltip, right? So if you want, you can just make some changes into that as well, but I'm not going to make any changes in the this is the detail labels. Like right now the data value and the percentage of the total is being shown. If you want, you can just get the percentage of the total, or you can just get the data value. Like percentage of the total is pretty self-explanatory, the ratio. So we can just get the data value, and if you want to change its size, you can do that as well. So let's just keep it at 11 points. Now the thing is about the title of the chart. So what we are getting is count of medal by gender. Now whatever column names you had, like we had gender as the column name, so it came over here in the title. That's why I said renaming the columns is really important in the first video. Okay, so why is it important? Because whatever names of the columns you have, they would be taken as it is by default in the title by Power BI. Now if you want to make any changes, you have to manually do the changes. So it's better, you know, to just change the column names to something sensible, something relatable beforehand, so that you don't have to manually make the changes afterwards. That's why we changed the country region to country. Okay, so what I'm getting over here is the count of medals. So I don't want the count of the medal thing, I just can do distribution of medals. So distribution of medals by gender, right? and as you can see it's been changed, but what I'm going to do is just align it to the center and change its size to around 15 points. That's it. If I click on this back to report option, then this is how it is looking, right? And this is how it will look. If you want to just move it anywhere, so there is this 3 dots option, you can just use it to move it, and also you can just decrease or increase its size as per your wish. This is the simplest chart or the simplest visualization that we had in our report that we just created. Now the second visualization that we are going to create is the distribution of the medals on the basis of the countries, right? So what we are going to do is create a matrix out of it. Now what is a matrix? Matrix is just like a two-dimensional table. In table we just have the column headers, but in the case of the matrix we have the column headers as well as the row headers. So it is used for a better visualizing of the information. Let's just see. As you can see, just as I got one matrix, I got the option of rows and columns both. So what I'm going to do is use this matrix to show the country-wise distribution of the medals. That means I need two things, the country and the medal information. So first of all, let's just get this country and drop it into the rows column. Now you can see this is the huge amount of countries that I'm getting, right? There are so many countries. I cannot work with these many countries. So what I'm going to do is apply a filter that I don't want all the countries. I just want the countries that are in the top 10 of the medals, like the countries which have bagged the most medals. So the top 10 countries information I need. So how do I apply this visual? Make sure this particular visualization is selected. Go to the filters option. Here is this country. If you just click on this drop down, there is this filtering option called the top end filtering option. You have to select this, and here you can just apply the top filter or the bottom filter. We are just going with the top filter. So let's just select top 10. That means the top 10 countries we want. Now with the help of or on the basis of what criteria? On the basis of the medals criteria, right? So there is this by value option. You can just drag and drop this medals option over here. Go to this particular arrow and select count from here, okay? Because we need the count of the medals, and on the basis of that only we want the countries. So you can click on apply filter, and after a few seconds we are getting the name of only 10 countries now. So it is much better looking, right? Exactly. Now what we are going to do, the second thing is add the column headers. So the column headers are going to be like gold, bronze, silver, the 3 medals, and the total number of medals the country has got. So that means again we have to search with the medals in the columns value. So when we get this medals into the column value, as you can see, we are getting bronze, gold, Na and silver. Now why we are getting this Na? We are getting this Na because as we know, in a sporting event, many athletes participate, but not everyone wins a medal. So we have got data for all the participants that have participated in the Olympics games, in every single event of the Olympics games for the past 120 years. But this Na is of no use to us. We won't be showing how many people have lost the medals. We are only showing the winners. So how do we filter this kind of an information? We go to this medals option and make sure the select all option is selected and just unselect this Na. So what will happen? We would be getting the total number of the bronze, gold and silver. Also we are getting this blank option. So let's just remove this blank as well. So we would be getting the total number of bronze, gold and the silver medals. This is showing the total number of medals of each category, like 1, 3, 2, 9, 5 and so on. The total number of medals in each category that have been given out by the Olympics committee. That's it. The final thing is the values part, like what would be shown in these columns. Okay, let's just get into the focus mode to get a better understanding. What would be shown over here? The data part. So for this, let's just get this medal into this values, and now what we are going to do is just change it into this option count. Now what will it do is it will show us the values, that is how many medals of each category have been won by each of the countries. Now if we talk about its title, okay, The title, I don't think there is a title in a matrix. Yeah, there's no title. Now what we can do is, right now we are getting, if we just go back into the focus mode, we are getting these countries alphabetically arranged, but we may want them on the basis of the middle numbers. So go to these three dots and then go to the sort by option. Here we can just select the count of a medal as the option. So just after a few seconds, you can see now we have the countries arranged by the count of the medals. That is, USA has bagged most of the medals, 5,637, and so on. Go back to the report, and that is what we have got for us. We can just resize it. If you're not happy with the size of this text, what you can do is just change the size of the text. So you can just go to this option of this general, I think. Okay, let's make some changes to make it more presentable. So I have changed the vertical grid. I have actually applied a vertical grid and applying its color as black. And similarly, I'm also going to apply the horizontal grid, and its color also I'm going to set as black, so as to get a better highlighting over here in the table. If you want, you can just increase the thickness as well, so as to get better insights or better way of this visualization. Also, you can just change the outline color and the outline weight to black and 2. But that's just a personal choice, whatever you want. And here we can just increase the text size to around 12. And as we have increased the text size, we might want to increase the size of our visualization as well. The final thing that we have is we are going to apply a conditional formatting. Now, what is a conditional formatting? It is used to show some kind of a data on the basis of the conditions, right? So how we are going to do that? We have this conditional formatting options. If we just go to it, and here these are the different options. We can just click on the data bars and make sure it's on. Then the advanced controls would be there. We can just go to the advanced controls, and as you can see, we are getting these data bars that have been filled according to the values, right? So we have just the positive values. So let me just select a shade of a golden, and you can just change the direction of the bar as well and click on OK. Now, once you do that, you will see this is the kind of a distribution that we are getting. It shows that how much this data is being filled. So this is the amount of the data that is being filled. And even if you are not interested in reading the text, you can get a glimpse of how the distribution of the information is done over in this visualization. So that is it for this video. In the next video, we will be seeing some of the complex visualizations which would be a part of our report. Thanks for watching. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Power BI projects course. This project is the Olympics Dataset Analysis project, and we are trying to analyze the historical data of the Olympics Games. In the previous few videos, we have already seen how to clean this dataset using Power Query Editor, and then we have seen how to create these two beautiful visualizations with very simple arrangements. Now we would be proceeding with a few more visualizations. We would be seeing how can we create them. So let's get started. The third visualization that we are going to create is about the players. So if you are wondering that how am I creating these visualizations, or how am I just saying that one visualization after the other, the thing is there are actually two things. Firstly, I have just created a report for reference, so that I have an idea in mind how to do that. But for the people who are doing that for first time, what you can do is you can take a look at the columns that are present in your final data set. You have to create a visualization that employs all these columns, right? Because these are something that is important. So you have to create visualizations that uses all of them. You can use the trial and error method, like create different visualizations, try to group in the columns and try to get the results. So whichever visualization gives you the best result is the one that goes finally into your report. So what I'm going to do is going with this kind of a chart, this stacked column chart. Let's just create one for ourselves, and let's change its size a little bit. Okay, actually the size is not an issue over here because we would be just changing the size multiple times before adjusting them all into the report. So you can just not worry about that. Further, you can also go into the focus mode to get a better insights at the visualization. So what we are going to do is work with the players. So the players can be found with this help of this name column. So that I'm going to drop it into the access part. Next we have is the values part. So we are going to rank the players on the basis of the number of the medals that they have won. So let's just get the medals into the values part, and automatically it takes the count of the medal. So now we are again getting a slider with too many players. So let's just do the same thing that we did with the countries. That is, instead of all the players, we are going to get just the top 10 players, or basically top 5 players, or basically whatever you want, the number you can decide. If you want, you can also select the bottom 10 players, like the players that have secured the least number of medals in the history of the Olympics games. So then you have to specify the criteria. So the criteria is going to be the count of the medals. Now there are two things, the count of the medal and the count distinct. Now what are these two things and what is the difference between these two? We will see it just a few seconds later. But right now let's just work with this count and click on apply filter. Now as soon as I did that, you can see I'm getting very small number of players. That's 10 players, or the 10 participants. That's looking good. Now what we can do is, okay, they are sorted on the basis of the number of the medals that they have won. So what we can do right now is actually classify these medals. So we can just drag and drop this medal into the legend part. So these medals are classified like what is the number of the medals that they have won, the different kinds of the medals. So what we are going to do is, as you can see, NA is also present. So the data that we are getting is incorrect. Like if right now what we are getting is the data of the players who have not won the medals, like who have participated in the games and have failed at most. Like we have Robert Tate McKenzie over here, who has got 57 NAs in his name, and this is the blue part, that is of a bronze medal, and 1 bronze medal he has won. So this is what we are getting, and this is what happens. The erroneous data is visualized if you don't take proper care while using your filters, while using your data values. So to remedy this situation, what we are going to do is go into this medal, make sure the select all is selected, and uncheck this blank and NA. As soon as we did that, you can see Michael Fred Phillips, who is considered one of the greatest athlete in the Olympics, has popped up to the top position here with the most number of the gold medals. So this is the correct data that we are getting, right? Now what I'm going to do, if you want, you can just hide these panes to get a better look at your visualization. What I'm going to do is format the data colors. So you need to go to this format tab in the visualizations, go to data colors. For the bronze medal, I'm just going to select the shade of brown. For the gold medal, I'm going to select the color or a shade of gold. And for the silver medal, let's just go with the shade of gray. Right, so yeah, it's looking good. Next, what we can do is turn this data labels to on, so that we get the count of the medals. Like Michael Phelps has won 23 gold medals. On the second number is Larissa and Paavo Johannes Nurmi. There is a tie between these two, both with 9 medals, and so on. So this is the kind of the data that we are getting, right? We can change its title as well. If you just go to this title option, we have count of medal by name and medal. So this is not a good title, right? What we can do, distribution of medals among players, medals among top 10 players. So that would be better, top 10 players, right? And we can just align it and increase the size to get a better view. Then once the changes have been applied, you can click on back to report option, so as to get a view that how this visualization is going to look. Now this is something that we have created. Now let's use another of our fields that we have got, and that is this. If you just open this up, we have used the medal fields, we have used the country field, we have used the gender field, we have used the name field. Now what field we have left with is the age field, the season field, the sport field, and the year field, right? So let's just use this sport field, right? So let me just create another page because this page is filled. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to see that which sports gave the most medals, right? So for this we can use a very simple visualization such as a tree map. This is a tree map. It is used for these kind of purposes like the distribution of the data or when the volume of the data is concerned. So let's just get the sport into the group and the medals into the values. Now not just the medals, we want the count of medals. You can see this is again huge with a very contrasting color scheme. So firstly what I'm going to do is fix this color scheme. So how am I going to do that is just go to this formats option. Here is this data colors. If you just go to this advanced controls, right, now don't just scroll down because there would be the list of all the sports that are available. If you want to individually color them, that is going to take a lot of time. So we are just going to go to the advanced controls option. For the lowest value, let me just select a shade of brown because that is actually a color of bronze medal, so kind of like that. And then for the gold, we have selected this shade of golden, so let's just select that for the maximum value and click on OK. Now what happens is here is what we are getting, right, these sports. If you want, you can apply a filter on these sports as well. So let's just go to the filters pane. Sports, we are just going to concern ourselves about with the top 20 sports maybe. So top 20 sports by the medals, count of medals again would be the criteria, and click on apply filter. So you need to wait for a few seconds. And yes, this has been changed. Now in case you want some information like what is actually the number of medals that have been given out by these sports, so what you can do is just drag this medal part into this kind of a details field. So medal into this details, and we don't want medals, we want the count of the medals. So we can go to this option of new quick measure, or actually we can just remove this medals. What we can do is we can just leave it like this only if you don't want any kind of information from this, because it is showing you the distribution, okay, like this. You can just change its size. If you want to change the fonts, etc., you can just change it over here, but what I'm going to do is just change the title. So distribution of medals, not the count of the medals, distribution of medal by sports. Okay, so this is the tree map. That means athletics has given the most number of medals, followed by gymnastics, swimming, shooting, and so on. Now this visualization is also complete. Next visualization that we are going to work upon is going to be based upon the seasons, right? So let's just get the seasons parameter into play. Let me get this clustered bar chart actually, or what we can do is get this stacked bar chart, or basically we can just get this stacked bar chart. There are actually two types of stacked bar charts, the stacked bar chart and a 100% stacked bar chart. So what is the difference between the two? Let's just see it practically. Suppose we get the season and the medals. So let's just get the season into the axis part and the count of medals into the values part. Now what we are getting is a normal stacked bar chart. So we are getting, okay, that summer season has got more medals than the winter season, or summer games are distributing more medals, right? But if we just go to this 100% stacked bar chart, then both of these values become similar, because for this whole number is taken as a 100% criteria. That is why this distribution is not looking very good visually. Okay, so what we are going to do is just go with the stacked bar chart and apply the country in the legend as the filter. So we don't want all the countries again. What we can do is apply a filter to that. that instead of all the countries, we get a basis of top 5 countries basically, and how the distribution of the medals among them is. So the criteria is again going to be the count of the medals, and click on the apply filter option. So yeah, the filters have been applied. Again, the colors are taken very randomly. So if you want a kind of a uniform distribution among all your visualizations, what you can do is go to this format option and work with these data colors. So you can just choose any of the colors that you want. Even if you are not satisfied with the colors that you have chosen, you can automatically go to this revert to default option to just undo those changes. But what I'm going to do is leave that colors part to you. I'm just going to just change the title, that is distribution of medals by season and country. That is going to be okay for me. Now what we want to do is change the color scheme of this particular visualization, and once we do that, we are done with this visualization also. So that you can do as per your choice. And that's it for this video. I will meet you all in the next video, where we would be discussing about creating more visualizations and the individual characteristics of all of those. So that's all. Thanks for watching. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the Power BI tutorials. In this project, we are working on the Olympics dataset, that is the historical dataset containing 120 years of the Olympics Games data. In the previous few videos, we have already seen the data cleaning process, and we have already created few visualizations. So in the first video, we created these 2 visualizations, then we created these 3 visualizations in this second video. So as I have asked you all to create different color schemes for your visualization, this particular visualization, I have chosen mine, that is just like from the darkest of the bronze color all the way to gold. So this is kind of a middle distribution of the colors. That's what I have taken as a theme for this particular distribution, just because I want a color contrasting theme for my Power BI report as a whole. You can choose whatever colors you want, you're free for that. Now what we are going to do is work with the 2 parameters that are remaining, that is the age and the year parameter, to create visualizations, right? So first of all, let's just work with the age parameter, because that is going to be a simple visualization. I'm going to create a chart known as the ribbon chart. So this is the ribbon chart. Let me just get it and go into the focus mode. This shows the values in the form of the ribbons, just like this. So the parameter that we're going to do work with is the age. So let's just get it into the axis. So what I'm going to do is get the data that what is the distribution of the medals by age. Is there any relation between the age of the athletes and the medals they have won? So let's get this medal count into the values part. So this is what we are getting. Again, there is a slider that is present. So what we are getting is the ages, that is the mid 20s or the early 20s or the late 20s, that is basically 20 to 30 is the age that is getting us the most number of medals. But this is not a very good visualization, good looking visualization, because as you can see, the ages are not properly distributed. We have got till 30, then we have got 18, and then so on, because the distribution or the sorting is on the basis of the count of the medals. So first of all, what we are going to do is in the options, we are just going to sort it by age, so as to get the distribution of the ages like this. So as you can see, this is what we are getting, the trend like this. So this is the main trend actually, that the people from age 10 are starting to get medals, but there is a peak in 2025, that is in the mid 20s, and then there is a slight decline in the number of the people that are getting these medals. So 45 till 13 or from 10 to 45 is the optimum value for analysis. That is where the peak is there, and that is where the peak is declining, right? So this is only the values that we are concerned with. So what we are going to do is we are just going to apply the filter. So let's just get this, and what we can do is actually select the values from 10 to 45. So 10 to 45, or what we can do is just select all and remove all those values. Actually 10 to 45, that's the values that we want to select. You can just select all of these values. So let's just select all those values and then we will see how to proceed further. So now we have selected all the ages values. The reason why we had to manually select all of them was because there was no range of the age that was available. So yeah, this is what we are getting finally. Now what we are going to do is use this medal in the legend criteria as well. So as to get this kind of a ribbon, again we have to remove this NA from the medals and make sure only gold, bronze and silver are there. Then we can format the data colors to the related colors. So brown, gold and gray respectively to get the information like this. Okay. Now this is the visualization that we have got. We can go back to report and increase its size like this. Okay. So this is how it is looking. Now the last parameter that we have left is the year parameter. So what we are going to do is we are going to see the distribution on a yearly basis, that is that how many medals were given on a yearly basis, or we can see the distribution of the participants, the number of the participants that we got in each year or something like this. Okay. So let's just get a line chart for this purpose and let's go to the focus mode to see what works for us the best. Get the year into the axis. If we get the number of sports that were played, so we can just get the count of the sports. So this is the data, that is the highest number of sports that were played in the 1992 Olympics. Then every alternate years there is less sports, more sports, the less sports, the more sports, like this. So basically it is a distribution with between the winter and the summer Olympics that we are getting the distribution among the number of sports played. So this is not a very good measure. Let's just remove this sport. If we get the count of name, here what we are getting is the players who have played. Okay, so here we can get the count distinct feature, that is what will happen in this case is we would be getting the unique names. Like if we are talking about the count of something, so if there are 3 bronze, so it will count 3, but if there is a count distinct, it will tell me that what is the occurrence of that character. So 3 bronze will be counted only as 1, that is 1 unique value. Okay, so this is the difference between the count distinct and the count. Again, this is not a very good measure, so we can remove that. We can get the number of participants based upon the gender, right? Or we can just get the name into the values field, the count of the name into the values field, and we are getting how many male and the female participants were there. So as we can see, the number of the male participants was increasing steadily until the 1992 Olympics, and then it dropped suddenly. Okay, and this is the date of the Summer Olympics. So in this also there were not that many participants as they were in the 1992 Olympics. Similarly, in the females also, the number is steadily increasing in the 1992 Olympics, but just as whatever the value we got is around over 5,000. So this is exactly the value that we are getting for the female participants. Even they are increasing in numbers. So the male participants and the female participants, the difference between them is decreasing. It was the largest in the 1992 Olympics, but as of the 2016 Olympics, it's decreasing. So this is a very good visualization through which we can do analysis. So what we are going to do is we are going to go with this visualization. Just the thing is, we have to change the data colors and the title and basically the formatting part, which we can all do later on. So that's something that we can do. Now this is all about the visualizations that we have created. One more thing is that we can create some of the cards in our Power BI report. So what is the purpose of these cards? These cards are used to show important information in just a glimpse, right? So you don't have to search for visualizations, you don't have to search for anything else. You can just go to that card and get a basis of what the thing is there and what purpose it could be used for. So let me get few cards. This is the card visualization over here. You can get it here, and we can get the fields, like we can get the number of medals. Like if we want the count of the medals, so count of the medals, that is the total number of medals that were given. But if you want a particular kind of a medal, like how many gold medals were given, so what we can do over here is apply the filter when the value okay, we can just select this. Okay, what we can do is just select it to count. That would give us the count of the total number of medals. But if we just select count distinct, so it will give us 5, because we are getting the values of the blanks and the NAs as well, right? So we need to filter those values. So let's see how can we filter it. Here is the filter option. We can just go to actually, right, so in order to filter that, what we can do is just drag this medal directly into here and apply only bronze, gold and silver. So only the count of these medals is being shown. That is the total number of medals that were given. If you want the visualization to show some other information, like we can just copy this particular visual and we can paste it here, right? Or we can actually copy it from this option and paste it here to get a similar visualization, just like this. And here what we are going to do is instead of all these, I am just going to get the number of the gold medals that were given. So a total of 13.37 gold medals were given. If you want to just change it, the thing that is written, you can go to this option of category. Here you can just make the changes, and if that is not visible, you can just turn this category off from here, and you can go to this title option. Here you can just turn this title to on and provide a text. So let me just provide it with gold. Like that means that it tells us the number of the gold medals that were given. We can increase the size a little bit so that it is visible now, and just like this. So this is how you can create the cards for the different medals, similarly for the silver and the bronze medals as well. Right, now if you want to create cards on some other value, like let me just paste this card once more, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a card on the basis of the countries that have participated, right? The total number of the countries that have participated. So let me just get that country into this fields and select the count distinct of countries. Because why count distinct? Because that would give me the actual number of countries, but if I just select the count, then it would give me the total occurrences of all the countries. Like if in America 3,000 athletes have won, or 3,000 athletes have participated over the 120 years, so 3,000 would be the count of America, but count distinct value would trim it to 1. So this is the purpose by which these things are used. Again, we can get a card for basically anything else, like if you want that how many sports were played, so you can just get it into the fields option and just select the distinct count, so as to get the actual number of sports that were played. In case you suspect that there might be the blank values as well, you can just drop it here and see, yeah, the blank was there. So we can just remove this blank from here to get the actual number. Similarly for the countries also, you can just drop it here and select all and make sure to remove the blanks from there. Okay, or if you want any kind of a filter to be applied on this particular page, you can drag it into this area, or if you want the filters to be applied on all the pages, then you can drag it into this area, and that filter would be applied to all the pages, right? So now what we are going to do is we are almost finished with all the visualizations that we need to create. In the next video, what we are going to do is just create some more cards on the basis of just try to create the cards on the basis of all of these values, and then we would try to just use them all in the form of a reports. So we would be looking at few things that we must keep in mind while creating a report, and then we would be using them all to create a report. So that is it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Power BI tutorial project course. This video is the last video in this particular Olympics dataset analysis project. So basically we would be taking a look at a few steps that would help us in creating a good looking Power BI report. Then whatever visualizations we have created so far, we would be just adjusting them all into the report so as to get the best possible outcome out of it. So from the last video, I have made a few changes in this page 4. That is, I have changed the color scheme of this particular visualization again to be in line with what we have on all other visualizations. And I have confirmed these 3 data cards that would be going in my report. It totally depends on you. You can just create other cards as well. So we have medals earned, we have countries participated, and the sports played. This is the titles that I have added as I have already explained. So let's just go onto the page 5. This is going to be our report. Okay. So what we are going to do is, first of all, we are going to create or add a picture of the Olympics logo in the background. Okay. So what I'm going to do is apply a wallpaper on this page. So you can just go to this wallpapers option, go to this add image option. Here I have this Olympics image that I downloaded from the internet. You can do the same for you and click on open. So this is the kind of the image that's there. Now it's not looking very good, I know that. Let's just make a few changes into it. So we go to this wallpaper option and just increase its transparency to around at 95%, right? So I have seen this transparency before, I have adjusted it before and it looks good. And with the image fit, let's just go with this fit option. Or if you want, you can just go with the fill option, but basically any option that works best for you. So this is what we have got, right? And this is what, this is how it is looking. Now all we need to do is add the visualizations over it. But before that, just one thing is we have to tell that what this report is all about. So our report is all about the Olympics dataset analysis. So we can go to the insert tab and go to this shapes option to add a shape. So I'm going to add a rectangle kind of a shape and I'm going to add some text into it. But before that, I'm just going to change its color. Let's just go with a golden color, and the text that I'm going to add is going to be the name of the dataset, that is Olympics Dataset Analysis. Okay. And what I'm going to do is actually just change the font color to a black and increase its size a little bit to around 16, 17 points or 19 points. Basically, that's totally up to you, whichever looks good to you. Okay. Now is the time to adjust all of your visualizations. So let's just adjust them quickly. You can place any visualization wherever you want, but the only constraint is that the data cards that you have made must be on the top side. So let's just place them quickly and then I will show you the final result. So this is how it is looking finally after adjusting all of the visualizations into this report. If you want, you can go with any kind of an arrangement that you like, but as you can see, my A chart is not able to be used completely. It has a big chart, so I have just used this kind of a slider so as to get the look into the peak. That is most important. Now the thing is that if you just see, these cards are looking transparent, but all the other visualizations are looking opaque. So the image that we have used on the background is not visible. So how to remedy the situation? First of all, you got to use Control A option to select all of these elements except the data part. So let's just remove that, Control click, and that would be removed. Go to the format option and that's not visible. Okay. So what you can do is select these visualizations one by one by control clicking on them. Then go to this format option and I think there should be the option of the background. Okay, so there must be an option of the background. I can show you in one visualization. Like if you just select this, go to the format, there is this background option. You can turn it off so that what happens is that your visualization would change into a transparent one so that the background is visible. So you can do similar for all the visualizations, and then you will get the final look of your report. So that is it for this particular project. Thanks for being with me, and all the best for your journey in Power BI.